I think you want to play high tempo, you want to be taking fights, but again, those need to be the correct fights. And if it's not the correct fight, then probably don't show up to it, right? So it's very similar to what we were talking about with Doom. Like specifically Beastmaster, you want to be shoving waves and all that stuff and pressuring towers with your team, but like if you don't have your mid there, it's not a good fight. All right, guys, welcome back. This is week 20, weekly coaching. Last week we were working on Beastmaster and hotkeys and micro, and we had some exercises that the student could do to get better at micro and stuff like that. So, Dookie, what do you have for me this week? What's your MMR?
So we actually didn't end up playing any rank this week.
Okay, that's fine.
Just because we were working on Beastmaster stuff. I did end up doing the custom lobby. The only thing I couldn't really figure out like what cheats were like beneficial like to the training I was trying to do. Because there's like a lot of stuff about like spawning items and shit like that, but nothing like I can't make my like boar invulnerable, so I can be like, okay, my boar's getting hit, let me drag him this way before he dies.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You know what I mean?
So you needed like a little bit more detailed stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't really figure out stuff like that would be kind of conducive. But I mean, it was still like good to kind of play with like bots to have an easier time practicing. And I think I picked up on some just like mechanical things because of that, because there wasn't the pressure of like, if I fuck up, like they're gonna kill me.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's kind of a good way to just get that mechanical skill down.
Yeah, definitely. Good. I'm glad that was helpful then. That was definitely good. So the homework paid off there. So what else did we have? We had experiment and bot games. We did that. We had custom lobby cheats. You tried that, but so it sounds like you weren't sure which commands to use, or you just the commands that you wanted just like didn't exist.
Yeah, I just was like, I don't know what like would kind of help the whole process of me trying to kind of like learn to like micro and stuff like that. So like there's not like I couldn't even find like invulnerability for like Beastmaster, just to be like, okay, I don't have to worry about dying at all. Maybe I'll just worry about my boars dying instead, because I don't have to worry about me dying.
I think for that one, the easiest way to do it would be just like put on free spells and lots of money and just give yourself a bunch of hearts.
Yeah.
And then if the board dies, you just have to resummon it.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't know.
Yeah, you gotta get a little creative with it.
I'm not sure if there is an invulnerability. I can have a look real quick. Let's see. What does the wiki say about cheats? I mean, there's what the fuck mode, which is just like there's no mana cost or cooldowns.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So maybe there's not an invuln thing, but yeah, in that case, just give yourself items and free spells.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said there was one of these replays you wanted to look at?
Yeah. The Beastmaster loss.
Okay, let's have a look at this one. Thoughts on this one while it's downloading? What do you... how would you diagnose it? What was the issue here?
Morphling just got really big. I think I got more focused on team fighting than I did farming, and my like my GP like my gold at the end of the game kind of reflects that.
Yeah, a little bit low net worth there. Okay. Maybe fighting too much, maybe not farming enough. Hard to deal with Morphling. Morphling is also countering you with his Lincolns. You have a halberd for that, so that's... I don't know if you bought that afterwards or whatever.
I bought the halberd, but I ended up getting I ended up learning. So we did Tormentor, and I got Beastmaster's Ag Shard, and I learned that the bird will actually trigger Lincolns.
Okay, well that's useful then.
And I think it reduces the cooldown, so it's actually pretty good at that. The only bad side is it's based on proximity. So you don't really have a choice. But if you know that someone's there, or if they're jumping on you, you can just throw the bird out.
Oh, I see. Okay, because it auto dives in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you actually have to? I haven't played with this before. So do you have to actually use the dive bomb, or does it just does it like someone walks next to it and it just does its little thing?
So when I auto cast it, it'll just like whoever's the closest.
Okay.
So basically, anybody who gets in range will get hit and rooted.
Gotcha.
But I didn't think about it. I'm not sure if you can actually control, if you don't autocast it, if you can control who can get hit. Because if you can, that's pretty fucking strong.
So this can be... How did you set it to autocast? I don't have an option to do that.
Oh,
you set the bird to autocast. I see.
Yeah.
Reduces hawk cooldown by 10 seconds. Grants dive bomb. Is set to autocast. The hawk will automatically dive bomb the first available target. Okay, so if I do, I just want to see if it does it now that that's turned on.
I think it has to be heroes.
Has to be a hero. Okay. Oh no! Oh, so that's interesting. So this was turned off when I first casted that hawk.
Yeah.
You
can't do it for individual hawks.
Right. Think up, buddy boy. Let me try that one more time. So we're gonna hawk over here. And just like turn this on. That's pretty useful. That's good to know.
Yeah.
So I guess like theoretically you could use this to try and pop a Lincoln's maybe. I don't know how cumbersome that would be though. Like we just like throw this on and chuck it out there.
You could.
Oh geez, you can do it from where you. Okay, that's pretty good actually. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually pretty nice. I like that. You can just launch these motherfuckers.
I want to see. I didn't check this out. Try not autocasting it and having like another Beastmaster there, and see if you can like pick which one.
You can. You can select. You can select them.
Yeah.
Have them do it.
That's the so that's pretty fucking good. You could like if you just know a fight's gonna break out, throw one in the area, tab to it, and then just like pop a link real quick.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's really fucking good.
Why didn't you just kill him like this, bro?
Yeah, that's true.
Why didn't you think of this? Jesus. Oh man. No, okay, but that's cool.
That's why we. Yeah.
The aura on the hawk is like so massive that you can just pretty much just use it like a spell, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So I was like, after that, I was like, damn. I mean, it's still a good item to have the halberd, but it's good to know if I'm playing Beastmaster, I have.
You have a Lincoln's pop. Yeah, that's very good. That's very good to know. Okay.
And besides that, it's just useful without Lincolns because it's so nice to be able to catch like supports going toward somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right. So maybe we learned something about Shard. That's good. Maybe fell behind on farm. Maybe fighting too much. Any other questions for this? Like, what could you have done to like mess with this Morphling more, or do you feel like it's just like which instances should you have been farming in? Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was one point I get distracted because I had a work call, but other than that. Yeah.
Okay, I won't worry about that. Were we farming too much? Could we have shut down this Morphling earlier? And any other questions?
Maybe just itemization. Could I have picked better items to deal with the Morphling?
Actually, we're farming not enough. And then how were items? Okay, good. That's some good stuff to work on. So let's have a look.
Yeah, it was a little frustrating because there were like two times in lane where he was so close to dying and I ult him and he like survives last second and is able to get away.
Yeah.
Or he threw down the attribute shift right as I stunned him.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would say because of things like that, like Morphling might be a pretty decent matchup against the Beastmaster. It's kind of hard for him to like. I don't know. I mean, so one thing I don't know if you know this, but Coddle Beastmaster is like one of the most disgusting lanes in the game, right? And I don't know if anybody really beats that because just Wild Axe spam in your face over and over again, like that shit's nuts. So I don't know if Morphling could deal with that, but I think like Morphling's natural ability to just regen a lot makes him really hard to like quote unquote beat in lane.
Yeah. I felt a lot
Um,
better about my axe usage too. I don't think I really talked too much about that in the last session, but like I definitely felt that was another skill that I was like, I'm just fucking missing this all the time. But I just you got to be predictive with it.
yeah, yeah. Let's see. We'll track the axe usage. Mhm. So things we're going to be looking for here is ways to shut down enemy cores, right?
Yeah,
Anytime you can harass them out of lane, obviously, that would be good. How much mana you're spending on the Morphling versus spending on the Batrider is
yeah,
actually going to be a thing. Like, if this Batrider is doing a good job of distracting you and you're wasting your time trying to kill Batrider, like, that's something to maybe adjust for. If you're missing lots of denies against this Morphling, like, that's another thing, too.
yeah,
One way to slow him down a little bit. And other than that, it's just killing him whenever you can. Because, you know, pulling and all that stuff is more up to the support, but, you know, there might be opportunities for that, too. It's the typical shit, right? Like, how do you win your lane? Well, kill the guy and deny the creeps, right?
yeah.
Basic stuff. I like how you're positioning there. You're zoning him off. That's good. The more you can do that, the better. And you should actually feel more okay to do that because you know you got a Warlock with you that can heal you.
Yeah.
Right. Uh, I think this might also be a case where you don't necessarily need to buy your boots right away, and you might be better off just buying a mana regen item.
Okay.
Because it's like, you know, is a Morphling gonna run you down? A Batrider might run you down, sure, but you can kind of like pre-position around that. It's not like you have to be near the Batrider all the time, right?
Right.
That would be an instance where you're a little bit like wasting your time with Batrider. I mean, you're trying to help your Warlock, but like,
Right.
is Warlock gonna die?
The,
I mean,
the interaction was kind of over, anyways.
a little bit, yeah. Because you're missing this creep up here.
Yeah.
It's not like it really changed much. I mean, maybe you could have denied that creep,
Yeah,
but that's
it's
like
still
an
just,
example
you know,
of like the thing you
yeah.
want to try and avoid. If you're really focused on like how do I shut this guy down, like minimal time interacting with
Yeah.
anything but him, right? Okay, Warlock already has a Ring of Basilia, so you don't need that. So maybe the boots is fine. And I don't know if I would just rush a Helm of the Dominator. That seems a bit crazy. I noticed you didn't take Boar. I'm guessing... What was your reasoning for that? Was that because you were against double ranged here?
Yeah, I figured that they just kill it easy, and I was like, I'd rather not just feed gold to him.
That makes sense. Makes sense. I wonder if I would just take it anyway to start leveling it up. And then
Yeah.
you still have the Hawk usage, which is helpful. And then you can use like Boar as like a surprise like slow. So maybe you just skill it, but you don't actually use it, which is normally not something you want to be doing, right? But I think of it in terms of like, is 10 attack speed super relevant? Like,
Yeah, that's the
you
that
know?
I think that's one of the few things that feel weak about Beastmaster is like the initial levels in some of his spells don't feel like game changers.
Oh yeah, they're quite bad, honestly. His spells are not good for a while. Okay, overcommitted a little bit there. So let's look at that one. Was that avoidable? Keep it on free camera here. Yeah, you just dove a little bit too far, I think. I think when you're... It's hard to gauge because you've got his heal running, or I think it was running, and they have Fatal Bonds on them, so you want to fight with that stuff on, right? So
Yeah.
it's tough to tell how much damage is actually going to be exchanged here because of that, because he's regenning, you could be regenning. Actually, where did he even cast? He hasn't casted this. But when he casts this, it's kind of hard to judge, you know, and then you have this like napalm, which is like damage is amplifying and your axe's damage is amplifying, so it's really tough to like gauge how a trade is going to go with these 4 heroes.
Yeah.
But what we can do is just look at what happened and then judge it based on that. So you just went too far into the creep wave, I think.
Yeah.
And ate too many napalm stacks here.
Yeah, I also began to wonder if it would have been a better strategy to just try and kill the bat before trying to kill the morphling, because there was so many situations where it's like, okay, well, he just shifts and then you know,
you just can't
there
kill
goes
him.
all of our damage.
It might be. The thing is, it's that's part of a different strategy, right? So
Yeah.
if your aim is like, okay, I'm gonna kill the support that's protecting the core, then you need to have the follow up as like, okay, then we're going to zone or kill the core once we've done that, right? So if it costs you a lot to kill the support, then you might not be able to zone or kill the core anyway.
Yeah.
But either way, killing the other guy does accelerate you. So if it's a matchup where if you can get a level advantage on them, that allows you to then do it like zone them on your own, then picking off the support might be good. So like a weird example, just the one I can think of off the top of my head, like two heroes where their level 6 is super important, right? So Juggernaut and Slark. If either one of those guys hits 6 first, they get like a major advantage over the other one, right? I know you're not going to have like a Jug Slark lane very often, but like if Slark hits 6 first, he can now, like, he doesn't care about the Jug ult anymore. He can just bully the Jug out on his own. So if the Slark can get fed off of, like, killing the Bat Rider to then zone Jug, that could work out as a strategy. So, but for you, if you hit 6 before the Morphling, like, is that going to dramatically change things? Like, I don't think it will. Like, it does give you Roar, but Roar is not, like, a ton of damage. Roar allows you to do damage with other things, right? Because they're stunned.
Yeah.
So I think in this matchup, the level differential between the two of you is not gigantic, besides him getting Morph and then also getting all of your spells. That's like the main thing, really. Because, and it's also partly because your support doesn't offer a lot of kill threat. Like, he's not like a burst hero. It's not like a Tusk, right? Where it's like, oh, we get 6 first, I roar him, you snowball in, like, we stun lock the shit out of him and kill him. Like, that's a potential. Here, it's kind of like the Warlock just whittles you down, right? So this whole lane is sort of just a static farming lane. Like, you kind of can't shut the Morphling down aside from getting more efficiency. Your support doesn't do it. You don't really do it. He's already, like, a really hard hero to, like, boot out a lane anyway. So it's just going to be the minor things adding up. Like, we got off more pulls. We got more denies. I made him buy a little bit extra tangos and stuff like that. And eventually, once you're high enough level, like, you'll be, like, he's not going to want to lane here anymore because more supports are going to come to your lane and you'll be able to just take his tower, right? Like, this timing right now, if the Dazzle came up to you guys with this catapult, you guys could potentially, like, if you set up a double wave, Dazzle comes up here, you know, and you're all like, you're like level 5 maybe, like, with this catapult, like, this tower could fall, right? But it's not going to happen right now. So we're going to have like another 4 minutes of kind of just this static laning. It also, you know, Dazzle's not the best ganking support. And you have, is this a mid Earthshaker? Looks like a mid Earthshaker. I think it's a mid Earthshaker and a safe lane bat. Or maybe it's the other way around. Anyway, yeah, so your draft just doesn't play super duper high tempo. Anyway, so the ability to actually, like, shut this Morphling down early is not really there, to be fair. So you're not going to shut him down. You're just going to, like, try and beat him with, like, map pressure. You're just going to reduce his farming area, and that's, like, kind of the best you can do. You don't have a terrible comp against the Morphling, because you have, like, Bloodseeker and stuff like that. So Morphling might just be, like, a really good pick here into this lane, but I don't know. I don't look at Beastmaster Warlock and think, like, oh shit, this Morphling's gonna feed on repeat.
Yeah.
There you go, what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, for sure. Maybe if it was, like, Lion or something and we could chain stun while he was, like, not shifted.
Something like that. Both of these heroes offer a lot of lane harass, and Morphling is specifically good against a lot of lane harass. because of
Yeah.
his ability to like get extra value out of his healing items by shifting down. Yeah. I don't know if there's really too much else you could have done here, just besides avoiding the occasional death and just making sure you're getting lots of denies on him,
Yeah.
which should be possible early.
Yeah, I thought maybe also like if this is more because I purposely didn't get Helm because I'm trying to play, you know, and just get used to the board.
Sure.
But
Okay.
I thought maybe had I like gotten Helm, I could have tried to play more in a way that is like map pressure-y and try to like take towers before he gets big.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like that is the pretty standard like meta build, right? If you get more summons, and that's how you kind of play Beastmaster. But because you're learning Beastmaster, like we said, like don't worry about that right now. And so it means like it's actually very similar to the same thing with hotkeys, where in this current state of how you're playing Beastmaster and learning Beastmaster, he is just not going to be as powerful as he could be. Like, if you're using hotkeys and you're buying all the summons, and you had a bunch of supports that were going to play with you, and all of these things were great, then Beastmaster's amazing, right? But in this iteration of this Beastmaster, he's not actually going to be that great.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, that's okay.
I feel like I also realized with Beastmaster, like, there's not as much, like, micro as I thought. Like,
right.
Which is fine. But like, you know, there are things you can do. Like sometimes it's more like about the board positioning, and like with Helm, obviously it becomes a lot more. But like in general, like you're not making the board do a lot of things. You might like run from a fight and just have the board hit them to slow them.
Yeah, it's very binary. Like, is the board, you know, attacking or not?
Yeah.
But hey, we got the tower even with dying twice, so that's kind of naturally just how this is gonna go. That's also a little bit is going to be due to just the fact that you can push the wave really effectively with Wild Axes, and Morphling kind of can't. Like, in order for Morphling to do that same thing, he has to max waveform and waveform the wave to match you on pushing, which he's just probably not going to do, right?
Yeah.
And even then, it's still more efficient for you to do it, because it's lower cooldown, lower mana, and your wave push is not also your escape. So that's why I'm saying, like, naturally you're going to eventually kill this tower anyway.
Yeah.
So it would just be... The game plan would just be trying to be as efficient as possible on the road to that, and then doing follow-up like this, like moving into other lanes, and trying to pressure there.
Yeah.
I want to look at this one, though, because you do die here, so is this avoidable? Let's put it on closer to normal speed. You got the quick Vlads, which I think is okay. Would I have bought a Vlads here? I don't know. I think going for a pipe makes sense. They have Bat Rider and Witch Doctor, and other than that, their damage is actually very split. So it's hard to itemize against that. Excuse me. So, I mean, obviously we would opt for Helm of the Overlord first, if we could. Other items that might be okay. Spirit Vessel versus Morphling is alright.
Yeah.
Actually, Boots of Bearing can help your team accelerate a lot and win these early fights. It's kind of a weird build-up for you, because there's no mana regen element to that, so you'd have to have something else for your mana regen. But that could just be clarities and stuff. Or if your supports get like arcane boots and whatnot. Obviously, you could go Meteor Hammer to accelerate it even further, but I think that kind of pigeonholes you into one thing, right?
Yeah.
So if we're not going to buy Helm, I think going for... Maybe going for like an early drum. Like you go like Arcane Boots drum or something like that.
Yeah.
Would allow you to like play a little bit faster, because that's a lot of attack speed you're dishing out, right? That means like when you're nearby with your aura maxed, that's 40, That's 85 attack speed you're giving to people, which with Bloodseeker, that's really good. With your supports, it doesn't matter at all. So this is just,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to itemize in this type of a game if you're not going to go Helm.
Yeah. I might end up just going Helm anyways in games and just like not worrying about the like microing abilities as much. Though I did like play around with just like I think in the bot match I bought a helm and I just like kind of tabbed around and I was like, this actually isn't as hard as I think.
Sure, yeah. Especially
So
depending on the aging creep you grab. Like if you grab this like big black dragon, like
yeah,
the ability's not that hard to use, and it has a lot of passive abilities anyway, and it's ranged.
yeah,
So this can be a nice one for that. Um, the other route I think you could have gone here, maybe, because we don't care about a Vlad's and we're not going to get a Helm, is potentially going for your Ags upgrades. So obviously we know the Shard is nice. That's an extra stun. And then your Ag Scepter is actually kind of crazy. Have you looked at this ability at all?
yeah. I end up buying it. It definitely it gives you. I mean, it's exactly what you want when you want to like man fight. You know.
Yeah. Totally, which you do kind of need to do here. Like, you are the
Yeah.
front line for your team, and there's like a Bat Rider and stuff like that. So, like, having healing would be good. So, I don't know, maybe like something weird like Arcane Boots and then rushing and Ags. Or, like, because we're not going to go Helm, like going like Shard and Ags Rush maybe could have been something here. And then obviously Blink Dagger is nice on you because you can jump the back line with that. I'm also wondering if maybe just being a harpoon buddy would be not bad.
True.
Could maybe work. Like, it's kind of cheesy, but harpoon is OP right now. And you can benefit from all the stats. It gives you mana regen. So maybe that's your kill threat, right? Like, you run up harpoon someone, axes, roar, right? That could be something. That'd be really annoying and hard to get away from. Thank you for the follow, Elizabeth. So let's see. Let me go back to. I've screwed things up because I have the shop open. That's a weird bug. Yeah, that's how that works. But anyway, in this fight here, yeah, you're just going a little too deep. Because like you're not committing the roar yet. So like you don't have Warlock ult and you don't have your ult yet. So that's gonna what these spells are gonna like allow you to actually like win the fight, right? So if you don't do it with that, then you need to have a significant like net worth advantage where you just beat them on right clicks, right? And I would say here you need to be saving your roar to cancel Witch Doctor ult if that's a threat, because that's a channel. Stick Bat Rider in place to minimize his damage a little bit, or if Morphling presents himself, like that's how you like seal the deal and actually kill him.
Yeah.
Otherwise, because this is this is like the first team fight, honestly, like the person that's up front, you can just roar them. It doesn't really matter who it is.
Right.
Just kill them right away, and that kind of sets like a good tempo too. But you didn't get a chance to even cast it, right?
Yeah.
So that's not good, right? You kind of dove, didn't actually use the ult, and we didn't have a Warlock ult like there, so well, a little bit overextended. Were we waiting on Earthshaker to show up to that? That's another thing. Yeah, you guys are committing to a fight and they bring everybody. Once they fort here, I think you're okay. You're okay to this point. I think this is one of those fights where you have to like soft commit.
Yeah.
So the Bloodseeker's going a little bit too far and he's getting gone on. You're kind of not going to be able to actually save him. So the way I would be playing this, would I be staying down here near these steps and just hawking axes in?
Yeah.
Especially because I'm waiting for Roar anyway. We don't have our big stun. We have a Dazzle save, which is kind of something. But Earthshaker's not here anyway. So even if you did cast the ult, you don't have your mid hero with the follow-up. So we don't want to hard commit onto this.
Yeah. I think also this is kind of a change I've had to like think about. But like in lower ranks when I used to play, people would kind of fortify in stupid situations when they weren't going to defend, and it feels like now I'm kind of realizing If somebody's fortifying, they're meaning to show up.
That's hit or miss.
Yeah.
That's very hit or miss. I think they've learned not to instinctively fortify because it doesn't automatically refresh every time a tower dies, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's probably a pretty smart way to look at it because I mean, you're
Yeah.
assuming that the other team is thinking about what they're doing, right? Which they might,
Right.
they might or they might not.
Yeah.
Um, but it's actually even after the fortify, you guys are still okay. Like you're still fine even after the fortify wears out. The problem here is the Bloodseeker kind of dove, and you guys weren't ready to like dive with him.
Yeah.
Had Earthshaker been here and we had Warlock ult and you committed your ult, this would have worked out, I think. But it's just kind of going a little bit too early, and then you follow up on
Yeah.
it. That's kind of a bad side to that. Now, obviously, this isn't game ruining, but the more times this happens, the further and further away we get to actually being able to deal with a Morphling, right?
Right.
Because our comp is not even that good at dealing with Morphling, to be fair. Our supports don't lock him down very well. We don't have like we have like some burst damage, but we don't even actually have like a lot of damage, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of up to this Bloodseeker to like kill everyone, which puts him in a tough spot, obviously. He's just dying in mid again.
Yeah, I think maybe the one thing that could be different on that end is as far as itemizing against Morphling that isn't like my specific itemization is if Blood got Scotty.
Yeah, a Scotty and a Vessel can help a little bit. You don't really want to be bothering to buy a Vessel as a position 3, though. Is sort of the issue there. And I don't even think it's significant enough. Like I've seen Morphlings tank through Vessel, no problem. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like you just need to have like a really big net worth advantage on him, honestly. And I don't think you can actually like shut down his sustain significantly enough to really make a difference. I think the answer is typically to try to match his sustain in some way. Like if you get lifesteal on all your cores and you have lots of healing and stuff like that, and the fights just become really long and drawn out, like that's usually how you're gonna deal with a late game Morphling, right?
Yeah.
I like the aggression here. Nice. Thanks, double kill. But yeah, I don't think you need a pipe right now. I think well, I know you don't need Vlad's. I think it would be you either pick Vlad's or pipe, and then you're going into an offensive item from there.
Yeah.
Because we want to be like trying to maybe a
What do
little
you
bit
think
faster.
of what do you think of Kai Assange?
It's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't tried it on Beastmaster per se, but like it would be good against their team. They have a lot of lockdown and stuff like that, so status resistance would be nice. Although on your hero, you don't even actually do that much magic damage.
Yeah.
Your nuke is only 300 damage at max level. It's pretty bad when you think about it. Your ult, and then your axes are what 250 damage per cast with amp. So Kaya is okay, but I don't think you can actually build a Beastmaster to like do more damage with spells realistically.
Yeah.
Besides the Drums of Slom thing, where then
Yeah.
you're just kind of a bristleback, kind of, sorta. It's weird.
Yeah.
So I don't
It's
like
like
Kaya
a personal
Sanj
back,
here.
but where you're attacking, not getting attacked.
Yeah, it's a bit weird,
Yeah.
right? I think good items this game would definitely be an Assault Cuirass.
Yeah, I was about to say.
BKB for yourself. Eventually, you're gonna want that. Probably a Blink Dagger, so you can just catch backline dudes. Your Shard is good because now we know it goes through Lincoln's. Possibly a Refresher Orb later on. You could just double stun the Morphling. Scythe would be good as well. And it made me do. You don't buy it, maybe somebody else buys it, but a Lotus Orb is extremely good in this matchup. Like,
Yeah.
Lich, all targeted. Witch Doctor, a lot of targeted stuff. Well, one targeted thing. Morphling, his stuff is targeted. Like, their stuns are mostly targeted. Morph
Yeah.
stun, Witch Doctor stun, Lich stun, Batrider stun are all targeted. Lotus Orb makes it really hard for them to play.
Yeah. Someone definitely does at one point buy one.
That's good. That's good. But that could be a nice item that also helps to sustain you a little bit. So I don't know. It's a bit weird. I'm not. I mean, maybe you could do Arcane Boots, disassemble Lotus Orb. Just, yeah. Actually, you know what? That's not bad. That's not bad because, like, I mean, think about it. Like, if you walk up to the tower and you have Lotus Orb on yourself, like, you've already built some sustain with the health and the mana and all that stuff. You have armor, which is like half their damage is armor. And a lot of the spell threat is actually just targeted magic damage. So a Lotus Orb is a pretty big middle finger to their team if you just walk up with it on you. Maybe. I think in this specific game, I think that could have been good. Because I don't think a pipe really helps you that much besides Lich and Batrider. You don't have a lot of right-click damage, so Vlad's is not actually helping you that much. And you don't need a Crimson Guard or anything like that necessarily, because it's not like they have... I mean, it does help against Visage, sure, but besides that, they don't have an excessive amount of like illusions or summons or anything like that. But I mean, actually, Crimson Guard would be good because of Visage and Witch Doctor. Like, I think it protects against Death Ward. So I don't know. I don't want to say just go Vanguard every game because that's incredibly boring. But I mean, usually this is all sort of irrelevant though, because normally a Beastmaster is just going to rush like Helm of the Overlord and then pick up something else. And if that's the case, I think like doing like Arcane Boots, Helm of the Overlord into Lotus Orb, and then maybe an Assault Cuirass or something like that and a VKB like could be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So the whole itemization is kind of whacked out anyway without that item, because like, to be fair, like Helm of the Overlord is 6,400 gold. Like, it's a significant portion of like most Beastmasters build. So not having that gives you a lot of room to just kind of build whatever, and then it's just match dependent, right? But we can have a look real quick. Let's have a look. What do most guides say for Beastmaster? That'll give us a clue on what other people think would be good. So Tortellini says Helm, BKB, Blink, Ags. His other one... Why does other two? Did I edit this? Whatever. This guy is saying Vanguard, Blink, BKB, Crimson Guard, AC, Halberd, Bots. Bots are another one. Actually, I forgot about that. Boots of Travel really help up-tempo a lot. Don't forget about that. This one, Immortal Faith, is saying Boots of Bearing. But he's also saying Ag, Scepter, Bloodstone. So this is the right-clicky sustain Beastmaster style, right? Give myself lots of attack speed, get a lot of sustain off of drums, and then also get a lot of sustain off of Bloodstone. So this is a completely different style.
Interesting.
This is less about the initiation, and this is more about being the aura unkillable guy.
Yeah.
Who's incidentally doing lots of damage to you. This is not even worth reading because it's so disorganized. Let's see about this one, maybe. It's just people saying Arcane Boots Vanguard. It's really not that different. Blink, though, is a common theme in a lot of these builds. But I think that, like what I was saying earlier, that is kind of the other direction to go with him. So if you're not going to do a summoning style, like this is the other cool thing you can do. If you're going to do the summoning style, then this is what you're doing. You are the summoning guy who also blinks and initiates on people. Pretty much. That's pretty much it. But I do think Lotus Orb would have been sick specifically in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sometimes weird to like kind of itemize them, thinking about like, do I get something that's like an individual thing, or do I always think about what's powering my summons?
Well,
I guess it depends on what style you're playing.
Yep, it depends on the style. It also depends on the matchup. So you would need to look at like, well, how good are they against summons, right? So if you're playing against, you know, can Enchantress Lich, maybe don't bother with summons because it's just going to blow up in your face a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But if they don't have a lot of answers to summons, then that's probably a good summon build game.
Yeah.
Which I would say in this instance, they're not the best at it. And really what you're looking at is when you're asking that question, like, do they deal with summons well? Everybody deals with summons well when it comes to late game, right? So
Yeah.
what you're asking is, do the supports easily deal with my summons? Like, they have lots of damage to deal with them or whatever. Or they can just mind control them, right? With Enchant.
Yeah.
Or is the core really bad against summons in lane? Like, that would be the other part of it, right?
Yeah.
Because some of them are better than others. You know, like a Sven into Broodmother is not actually that bad for the Sven. Like, he has natural cleave. But, you know, Ricky into Broodmother, Ricky's like absolutely 100% boned. Like, he just cannot deal with summons for a very long time, right? Really ever. Even if he gets Battle Fury and all that stuff, Ricky is just terrible against summons. Morphling is a little bit better because he has range and he has like some, you know, like a waveform and all that stuff, but I don't even think he's that good. He doesn't have that much AoE.
Yeah.
That's really it. Just how much AoE do you have?
I think you'll like this part.
Okay.
Check this shit out.
Let's see it. Oh, oh. Oh, oh. The steals. Wow. That was a pretty good turnaround. How did you know you could kill him? That looks like it's quite hard to pull off. I mean, I guess you killed the Batrider first.
The key is I did.
Yeah. I tried it and things happened. Oh, it's just Dazzle is just nuking back
the
here.
Dazzle really was the MVP. I got the credit because I look like a big man walking up to them, but really it was Dazzle.
Behind every great Beastmaster is a Dazzle casting Shadow Wave. That's a pretty sick turnaround, yeah. I like it. Boom, everyone's dead. The best type of team fight. Alright. So let's see. Have we answered these questions? Were we not farming enough? A little bit, yes. I think you want to play high tempo. You want to be taking fights. But again, those need to be the correct fights. And if it's not the correct fight, then probably don't show up to it, right? So it's very similar to what we were talking about with Doom. You know, you need to like specifically Beastmaster, you want to be shoving waves and all that stuff and pressuring towers with your team, but like if you don't have your mid there, it's not a good fight. So I would say sort of. Like, I do think you're kind of farming enough. It's just that like the fights that you're taking are kind of just in the wrong places in the game, really.
Yeah.
They're kind of they're just mistimed a little bit. Yeah, I think that's the best way I can put it, because it's kind of like we're waiting for a hero to show up, or waiting for an item, or waiting for a cooldown or whatever. When we shut down this Morphling earlier, I would say with this one only with efficiency in CS and harass. That's really it. Your lane comp does not have very good kill threat on Morphling, so it's just going to be we play for efficiency and knock his tower down, and then it's going to be the follow-up of like, okay, now we're going to group and like knock down all the towers, and we're just going to end the game early. Like,
yeah,
that's really it. So look to Death Ball and end game early, which you were trying to do, but then there were these missing parts where it's like, okay, we don't have Warlock Ult, or we don't have Earthshaker here, and then you just got to wait for those things. How were items? So obviously, like, in the context of not having Helm and the Overlord, like, I think they're okay. I think Lotus Orb specifically, like, if we're not going Helm, Lotus Orb would have been good. Maybe a Blink to like jump these backline supports that are quite squishy could have been okay. And then I would say like an Assault Cuirass would have been good too. And BKB as well. I mean, I didn't look at your end build. You should look at your end build. See what you actually ended up with by the end of the game. Yeah. Halberd's okay. I think the Vlad's honestly is only there because it goes into Helm. I don't think people will be buying it otherwise.
Yeah.
And Pipe is okay. Ags can be good, but I think Ags needs to be comboed with other items to really get a lot of benefit out of it. Obviously, the more attack speed you add in, the more summons, the more spell lifesteal you add in to with the Ags build, the better that gets. Yeah. Okay. Does that answer all the questions? Do you have any other questions
Yeah,
about
for
this?
sure. Not really. I think it just comes down to a little bit more practice, but I am really enjoying the hero.
That's good. Okay.
I'm kind of wondering if I should. Do you think I should just start going for the meta summon build and just kind of like because one of the things I sort of because I've been playing Street Fighter a
Yeah.
lot too, and I'm originally a Tekken player, not to get all into the fighting game stuff, but basically I was like, okay, Street Fighter came out, I want to get into it, and I've gotten to like a pretty good rank in it just by saying, okay, I'm gonna go and do just this little thing. So like if I want to do a combo, I'm gonna do a combo even if it's not the most efficient one. That
Okay.
way I'm just used to doing it. So to connect that to this, I was thinking, should I just do the build and then eventually I'll just add different parts. So this game, we're just doing the build. Like I'm gonna summon or I'm gonna get Helm, take a big creep, and then it's just gonna fight with me. I'm not gonna worry about microing it.
Mhm.
Then the next game I may be like, okay, I'm gonna try and micro it at least a few times.
Sure. If
And then
that's the
kind
way
of see
you
what I
learn,
understand.
then that's fine. Like if you know
Yeah.
that's how you learn a new concept is by taking it in bites and chunks and
Yeah.
layering it. If that's your learning style, that's totally fine. Like do that.
Okay.
So I would say yeah. So for the next game, then like buy Helm of the Overlord and just treat it like a giant boar.
Yeah.
Like I got another boar with more health and damage, and that's really it. That's
Right.
all it is. It's just another shoot guy, right?
Right.
And
Right.
and I would specifically to make that even easier on yourself, I would look for creeps that are ranged.
Yeah.
Just so it's like, okay, I just added another ranged creep. That's all it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go
Cool.
Helm, look for ranged creeps, and don't sweat Uber Micro. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be the next step, and then after that, we'd be thinking a lot more about like, okay, let's actually start using the abilities on the creep, and then thinking about what abilities would be nice for our team and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that's a good progression.
I also what do people do like when you like have a like helmed creep and you have to like TP to the other side of the map?
Oh, I don't have an answer to that one. You mean like because now your creep is stuck in the wrong place?
Yeah. I've done that. I've had that for a couple games, and I'm like, well, he's just walking. He's coming. He's on his way.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I think that comes down to the cooldown of your helm.
yeah,
So both Helm Dom and Helm of the Overlord are 45-second cooldowns. So I think if I have to TP to literally the other side of the map, like I'm not going to have it in this site, I'm probably just going to take that creep and have it attack move down the lane.
yeah,
Just to get some wave pressure. It's just like, all right, fuck it. You're on your own, Dragon. Go push.
yeah.
And
Okay,
then
that makes
and then when I arrive at the new fight, if I have my helm up, I'm just immediately gonna dom the best thing that's nearby. That's it.
yeah,
They're like, oh
okay,
shit, that's a centaur, grab it, or that's a
yeah,
whatever, a harpy, grab it. You know what I mean? Because it's more important, probably, like in most cases, it's more important that you have the creep in the fight with you than it
yeah,
is to have the creep doing something, unless we're literally talking about like backdooring their racks. You
yeah,
know, like you have to TP back to defend your racks, but your dragon could finish off their racks if it stayed there, right? Maybe
yeah,
that would be an edge case, but in general, yeah, it's like if I have the cooldown, I'm gonna use it, and if I don't have it, I'm gonna send it off to go farm and push.
yeah. Because so much of the gold that goes into that helm goes into that like ability of making the creep better. So you could, you obviously want it in the fight with you.
Yeah, yeah. Farm, split push. Split pushing obviously is more useful than the farming.
Yeah.
Just farming a jungle camp, but yeah, that would be good. And then also use Helm ASAP in fight if it's available, if the cooldown's off. Yeah. All right, cool. Anything else? Or are we all good?
I think that squares up everything.
Sweet, dude. All right. Let's try and get some more games in for the next week. I think that's another thing to think about as well. Like, I know you're limited on time and all that stuff, but like, progress is going to be very slow if you can only get in like 3 or 4 games each week.
Yeah. No, I've definitely. The good thing is my living situation is gonna change soon, so I'm gonna end up having my computer with me a lot more.
Okay, cool.
So that'll be good on like days I can just kind of like get off of work, play a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, sounds good. I mean, that's
Yeah.
like going to be the number one thing, right? Like, oh, it's going to be a pretty big contributor. Just the more you play, the better you'll get, right?
Yeah.
You still need to be thinking about like how you're learning and like trying to do like active learning and
Yeah.
practice and stuff like that. But at that point, it's just like, are you actually doing it enough? Right? That's a big
Right.
thing.
Yeah. I've had both kind of approaches at different times.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I used to just like fucking just
Just
during
spam.
COVID, dude,
Yeah.
during COVID when I had nothing else to do, I was just fucking spamming games.
Right.
And I really wasn't getting better because I wasn't thinking about like what do I need to adjust.
Yeah. Yeah. That was me
Yeah.
for a really long time. A really, really long time. I'd say only in the
Yeah.
past like 2 years did I start being like, okay, I'm gonna play ranked. I'm gonna focus on one role. I'm gonna focus on specific heroes. I'm gonna like get coaching and like look at my post game stats and really put a lot of
Yeah.
work into it, right? And then it's paid
Yeah.
off.
And that's it's sort of a hard thing because I realized that is kind of my approach with fighting games, though kind of like taking it bit by bit.
Yeah.
But that also works a little better for fighting games because the fighting games are built around like constant matches, like you're constantly playing constantly, whereas a Dota game is can be an hour at a time.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's like it's not as easy to kind of get back into these like, oh, I'm just gonna work on laning because it might be an hour before your next laning stage
Yeah,
that you work
definitely.
on.
No, that's really that is definitely one thing that makes Dota hard to
So
learn.
maybe I just got kind of an idea. Maybe Turbo for the purpose of learning Beastmaster.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I was saying last week, where like if you just go into Turbo just with the purpose of like picking the different micro heroes just to see how they feel.
Yeah.
Mechanically, from a mechanical perspective, like yeah, that is gonna be the best way
You
to
did
do
say
that.
yeah.
Because it's gonna be obviously your lane phase is not gonna last as long in a Turbo game, but like you're gonna get in twice as many games.
Yeah.
So, but it's also Turbo, and the towers are half as tanky, and everything is a carry, and
Yeah.
it's first item freaking harpoon in 5 minutes. The shit's crazy over
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah.
I don't know how good that is. Besides just mechanically playing a hero,
Right. Yeah, that's true.
it'll warp your perceptions of things a little bit.
Yeah,
Like,
that's always been my worry is because it's so different.
yeah, there's people that like only play Turbo. They don't play normal Dota
Yeah.
anymore, and they're weirdos. Don't become one. Don't become one of
Yeah.
them. 'Cause it'll ruin Dota for you. But anyway, all right.
Yeah.
I think we can wrap it up there. Good job. Good practicing. And
Hell yeah.
see you next week.
I'm
Then,
definitely feeling better. I'm definitely I feel better about how I'm using the boars, even if the micro isn't super intense. Like I feel like I'm doing better about that.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I find the hero fun, so
That's good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I did notice some improvement over last time. But yeah, good job, man. And
hell yeah.
do it again next week.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right. Catch you later.
Peace out.
Peace.
Cool. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope that was helpful. If it was, check out the playlist at the end of the video. And don't forget to check me out on Twitch. I stream every weekday about 2 p.m. PST onwards. And I hope to see you there. Bye.